G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. I handed him divorce papers today over his Reddit account and a bag of chips. Obviously it goes without saying that it wasn't just the bag of chips, but hot Cheetos were my breaking point. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had already had the terms of separation drawn up 6 months ago when, during a heated argument, he said, "We don't have kids. You should be thankful that it's only me that you clean up after." I kept hearing it in my head. Thankful for cleaning up behind a grown man 10 years older than me? He apologized the next day in detail and told me why what he said was wrong and that he doesn't believe it, but maybe it's just out of my character, but I don't think the things that you say in those moments are just hurtful words. There is always a little bit of truth in them. And then I found his Reddit account a few days ago. I accidentally saw the username when he showed me a screenshot. I tried, well, not really, not to memorize it, and it took me 2 days to get the courage to look. In between the comments on NSFW subreddits was complaints about me and posts about me too. One post, he had been ripped to shreds and told he was a piece of crap. Reading those comments made me realize I was nothing but an effing idiot to think that love can fix things. I was 20 when I met him, and he was 35. I thought people were being dramatic or annoying about our age gap because my single father who raised me didn't have an issue, but then I realized that he was just the same type of effing creep. It was almost like my father pre-groomed me to accept certain behavior to make it easier for other men in my life. I'm getting off topic, but I came home early today after a rough day at work and finding out my direct reporting manager had been K-worded by her husband. I then walked in the door to see my lazy, filthy one. I told him what happened to her and I started to cry. He didn't console me. He just said, "We don't know what made him do that. Let's wish both of them luck and move on with our day." Wish her luck? The frickin' dead lady? I tried to convince myself he just didn't pay attention. That soothed me for about an hour until I was in the middle of making dinner and he complained that it was already 6:45 p.m. I told him that he shouldn't be that hungry yet. He just ate half a bag of chips and left them on the table. So instead of A, helping me finish dinner, B, apologizing and waiting silently and patiently, C, finishing the bag of chips, or D, just laughing it off, he threw the bag of chips at me. 7 years together, 4 married, and he's never done anything that downright rude. Because low self-esteem aside, that's something that won't fly with me either way. The chips landed all over the floor that I had just mopped and swept. Whatever glare I gave him, it was enough to make him grab the broom in 30 seconds. It wasn't enough to make him at least check that it was all swept up and vacuumed after. So when I finished dinner and brought our plates to the dinner table thinking, wow, I really spoil him. The entire time we've dated, I've always made his plates and brought them right to him. No one has ever done that for me. And I stepped on a chip. It didn't hurt or anything, but I screamed. I'm not sure why, but I just couldn't take it anymore. So I ran to the home office and came back out with the papers and pen. I put them in front of his dinner plate and walked out while he was yelling my name. I'm killing a burger and fries in my car right now and realizing that I have to start all over. My life is done, but my love is for him too. I hope that I don't cave. I hope I don't let him convince me. I hope if I start to change my mind, I come back and read this post so that I understand this is not a heated decision. This is something that I need to do if I ever want anything like a real fudging life. In the comments, reminder for future OP, if you cave, he will know that he can treat you however he wants and there will be no repercussions. You got this. This is so true. Don't allow him to treat you like this, and worse. Don't give him any more of your precious time. You have a lot of time and dignity left in you. Indeed, this is how you get dignity. You fight for it. Dignity isn't just a gift of life. People with deep, authentic dignity earned it in a hard-won fight. You got this, OP. It's not just the dignity left in you, it's the dignity that you are going to win. I have fought through the most mortifying, dehumanizing, and stigmatizing situations with a screaming determination to maintain my dignity. If I couldn't have it in my appearance or my housing or my relationship history, I'd have it in my strength of will. F this guy, OP. It's your show now. Change and the unknown are always scary. You've been with this man for years, and I know that it feels like your life is done, but the thing is, only the life as you know it is done. The life where a man you love and supposedly loves you finds it okay to belittle you and disrespect you. The life where you will be forever cleaning up after a grown man who doesn't have enough decency or respect to pick up after himself. The life where your partner will always have very little respect for all women. Him justifying your boss's murder is just all sorts of screwed up. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You did your best and you put in your all. This is not your fault. He is the flaw, and he will not change. I was in a relationship with a man 12 years older than I. I, much like you, did everything that I could to make him happy, but it was never enough. It was never enough to get him to pull his own weight, to stop the misogynistic opinions and degrading comments on women, to stop trolling NSFW accounts to oogle at other women while he told me that my body wasn't his preferred style, and that he just had to get that gratification somewhere. Who could blame him for doing that, you know? After all, it was my fault because my body wasn't good enough. Everything was always my fault, from his crappy moods to his poor behavior, because according to him, I was the one doing something wrong. So I, wrongly, thought that if I could just do better, I would be deserving of his love. He was manipulative and emotionally abusive, and I loved him. In hindsight, I see that he love-bombed me early on. He only revealed his true horrendous self little by little when I was in too deep to just walk away. I was raised to think that the end game was finding a man and that you should do whatever you can to make it work, no matter how incredibly crappy and emotionally abusive that he is. I finally left. It wasn't easy. I missed him. For a while, I thought the problem was me. It took time and space to see the full picture. Now I can't believe that I didn't get out sooner. I moved and changed jobs. I finally cut off contact with him. At first, I felt lonely and isolated, mostly because being with him alienated those close to me, but things got much better much quicker than I anticipated. I reconnected with my old friends, I love my job, I met a lot of great friends that are now my support system, and am now engaged to a wonderful man who treats me as his equal while also helping to take care of me when I need it. My old life is done, my new life has begun, and is so much better. It'll take time, but you'll be happier. Stay strong, don't ever forget your worth. You deserve so much better than anything that this man has to offer you. I'm proud of you for having the strength and courage to leave. OP replies, I am genuinely so happy to hear that things got better for you. It feels almost like, hopefully, future me writing to current me, especially regarding bodies. I didn't include it, but the reason the burger and fries was so rewarding is that he always persuaded me not to eat it because I'd get fat and he wouldn't love me anymore. So even if I asked for a burger, he would order a grilled chicken sandwich or something. Thank you sincerely for your words. Seeing these other comments from other women who went through the same is helping me so much right now. And now, onto the update. Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting this sort of reaction. I didn't even log back on Reddit and see all of the replies. I was scrolling on TikTok and saw my own post on my For You page, which is really weird. The algorithm is algorithming a bit scary. I really do appreciate the support and kind messages. I don't appreciate the weird men using this as a time to hit on me and send me selfies when I'm obviously in a weak moment. I guess I'm a loser magnet or something. The crazy part is this courage started growing when I saw someone's wife strike on TikTok soon after downloading the app during lockdown. Then read the comments and found some sort of solidarity and finally realized I wasn't the problem. I really was just posting it so I could leave for good this time. I'm sorry that my post isn't very concise or thorough, but this isn't the first time that I've left him. It's the fourth time, but it's the one for good. I'm done. I've been saving money since I left the first time 2 years ago. I'm not trapped with him anymore. When I left the second time, I knew being a housewife would never give me leverage in our relationship, so I got a job. Back then, it was just to even the playing field and show him that I can earn my keep. Now it's literally my saving grace. Half our relationship was built on lies. He told me he was 8 years older at first, and then 10, then the truth of it being 15 came out. That I've always tried to get over. Because people deserve forgiveness, according to my dad. The only person I ever went to besides Reddit about advice. I just want to know what peace is like in my own home. I went straight from living with my dad to living with my boyfriend/current husband. I can comfortably take blame for how my marriage is, how my life is. My dad may have conditioned and started a lot of it, but I'm old enough to have put my foot down a long time ago. My husband and my father being the only two men that I've ever had any type of relationship at 27 is my own fault. Sure, I was taught growing up that when men are around, don't make eye contact and keep my head down, and I did it always because good girls listen is what I was taught and all that I ever knew. Just how did the wave of feminism keep missing me? How did I allow my father to push away every close female relationship I had? How did I allow both of them to alienate me from the world? 2 years ago, a woman of my age, I think, asked for a tampon in the bathroom and I gave her one, and we had a 5-minute conversation of girl talk that I gushed over. I played it over and over for months until I realized it was absolutely insane. All she did was ask me what my favorite coffee order was and said I was pretty and she loved my handmade earrings. I had an extra pair in my car and gave them to her and she hugged me. That was it. But I held on to those 5 minutes because it was the last time that I had an interaction with a human being that didn't leave me feeling empty. I should have left for good when he told me that getting a master's degree is for men. I should have left when I picked up woodworking and simple robotics as hobbies, and he told me that I might be transgender and that he can't be attracted to a woman that wants to be a man. I am not trans, nor am I transphobic. I just like the smell of freshly sawed wood and making new things. I should have left when I got accepted into the best university in the state, and he told me that women would be happier if they stopped trying to compete with men. I should have left when my dad died, and he told me that I wasn't upset enough about the man who would choke me over burning food and dinner not being good enough at 11 years old. Our relationship got considerably worse after the wedding when I told him everything that my dad had done. I should have left when I got groped at a concert and he bought the guy a drink later. I should have left when his friend said things about my body and he just joined in, and later told me that I shouldn't complain and enjoy the attention while it lasts. I should have left when I told him that I wasn't sure if I wanted kids, and he told me that I wasn't a real woman if I didn't want them. I should have left when he admitted to having his fellow officers follow me and show up to my job to make sure I was actually where I said I was. I should have left when he gave me the silent treatment for a month when I told him that it was controlling and would only communicate via sticky notes. When he said things that were hateful towards women, I would then see videos in his YouTube watch history about unlearning sexism. Watched all the way through. I would think, hey, at least that's way more than my dad ever did. Hey, at least he doesn't hit me. Hey, at least he brings me flowers and takes me on dates often. Men are just like that, I was told. Men have to be respected, I was told. Your husband deserves full trust, I thought. To this day, I'm not sure if he did these to please me temporarily or because he meant it and at least half tried. I made the mistake of not leaving at least 100 times. I will never make that mistake again. He texted and called non-stop after I left. I went back to our home, his house, to get necessities with headphones on, and he came out of nowhere and snatched them off my head and then destroyed them. AirPod Maxes I just bought. I just kept packing and ignored everything he said until I realized my passport was gone. He won't admit it, but he 100% has it, and I know it. He wouldn't sign the papers. We argued a bit, and I finally just said it. I don't love you anymore. I can't love someone like you. I'm a grown woman now, and I don't want to be with you anymore. He countered it with, you can't survive without me. I'm the only man who has ever loved you. You don't have anything without me. I'm the breadwinner. This is my house. You have no money, no family, no friends. He's only right about the last two. I told him that we don't have a prenup, and if we divorce with him fighting me on it, I'll get half of everything. But if he signs the papers that I gave him, it agrees to leave him the house and all the furniture, 3 of 4 cars, and 80% of the money in our savings and investments. I can walk away and start over. I want to walk away and start over. He, on the other hand, probably needs a retirement plan that isn't young women. It's more than he deserves, but I don't want to look at anything that I have and be reminded of him. When he realized the yelling and threats wouldn't work, he then tried tears. And I almost caved. Then I remembered he was fudging 42 years old on his knees, crying about a 27-year-old that just wanted to be treated with love, dignity, and respect. I gave him close to a decade of my life, of nothing but loyalty and love. When he lashed out in anger, I responded with love. I am all out of love. I picked a random Airbnb over state lines so that he has little pull here, and my job is allowing me to work remotely for now. I can already see a life that's actually worth living coming to me. I have a lot of legal stuff to figure out that will be a headache, but it's still a smaller headache than loving him was. I don't think I'll go back. I only use this account for woodworking and photos of cows, so yeah. Sorry if I'm not super responsive. It was a lot of replies, and I'm trying to go through them. Really, thank you though to the kind words. I've cried and felt more supported today than I have my entire life. Now in the comments, fellow officers, yep, he's a fudging cop, and nobody is surprised. An officer who already admits to getting his co-workers to follow her on duty, she needs to get as far away from that location as possible. One of my good friends dated an abusive cop for years. When they were on the rocks, he would have his cop buddies posted up outside her house to monitor her activity. When she finally broke up with him, one of them was always checking up on her, pulling her over for random crap, etc. She once got an absolutely unhinged midnight phone call from him because one of his buddies reported a man staying in her house. It was her brother. Fudging cops. He was well liked by the other cops, had a lot of tenure, and even had some sort of commendation. There was nothing she could do but move and buy a new car. First update, wow, I'm glad she left that butthole. Second update, oh, he would have killed her. He might still. A major cause of escalation is when the victim tries to leave. I don't think she realizes at how much risk she is right now. Hearing she went back to the house and met him in person had my eyes popping out of my head. I hope to God she doesn't make that mistake again. I can totally see a scenario where he lures her back to the house by agreeing to sign the divorce papers or any sentimental/important things, only to end up as a true crime story. Her having no friends or family is very worrying. The only place to notice her missing will be work. I hope they'll have support systems in place, especially after the manager and supervisor she directly reported to lost their life to DV. Our next post is titled, "Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter a better present than my son?" Our son is 22 and our daughter is 26. She bought a house in July. We know that moving into a new home will always come with unexpected costs right after you've probably depleted most of your funds. So for Christmas, we gave her $4,000. Our son, we gave a few different gifts, totaling somewhere around $800. Our daughter had to work Christmas, but we did Christmas on the 26th, and she stayed with us for the holidays from then until yesterday. Our son still lives with us, and today he told us both that he didn't want to say anything while his sister was here, but his feelings were hurt by the disparity in the value of the gifts. We explained that the gifts we got him were tailored to his interests, but his sister had just passed a big life milestone where money is more important to her right now than sentiment. He said that it's still hurtful because it feels like we are more proud of her than we are of him. My wife got really frustrated when he said that and asked why he would choose the least charitable interpretation of our actions. He said that's just how he felt and that he couldn't control it. I said that we didn't give her money because we were more proud, but because we had experience being new homeowners and knowing that something always breaks in that first 6 months and that it's always expensive. He said that was all fine and good, but it still hurt to get a worse present and feel like an afterthought. My wife asked if he'd expected us to get him $4,000 worth of gifts, and he said no, but he expected the gifts between him and his sister to be equal. My wife said that's the same thing, and my son said that it isn't. He said that we could have given her the monetary equivalent of what we gave him. I told him that it isn't really fair for him to decide how much we spend on someone else's gift, and furthermore, cash is less personal than gifts, so giving her a cash equivalent of what he got would be her getting the worse gift. He said that we weren't listening to him, just justifying. My wife said that we didn't need to justify anything and that he was being entitled. And at that point, he said that he didn't want to talk unless everyone was civil, and then he went to his room. He skipped lunch, which is breakfast for him today, and when he left for work, he didn't say goodbye, even though I was right by the door. My wife is irritated, and my son is clearly resenting us. I can't really decide if we're in the wrong here. On the one hand, we should be able to give our money to whoever we want, but on the other hand, I never want to hurt my son's feelings. Were we wrong? In the comments, you're the a-hole for doing this at Christmas. I am the youngest of 4 siblings. My oldest sister is 10 years older than me, so we definitely reached milestones at different times. Things like wedding money, housewarming gifts and money, graduation gifts obviously came at different times for each of us and were not tied to group holidays like Christmas. You could have given your daughter an $800 check or gift on Christmas and $3,200 for closing on the house at a different time and setting, and then you could tell your son, "We will be so excited to give you a gift of money to help you out when you buy your first home." Instead, now it is a very disproportional Christmas gift, which is sure to raise some jealousy. Edit. My judgment is very light, and you seem like very generous parents who want to help both of your kids get ahead in life. I definitely don't think you owe your son more now than an explanation and an apology for timing and reaction to his concerns. In the future, I would just keep shared gift opening times in kind for both kids, and stick to milestone gifts timed with the milestone. Edit. I'm also getting a lot of rent-free comments about the son. From OP's comment, it seems like the daughter lived at home until the house purchase to save up money, and they have no issues with the son living at home now and want the same opportunity for him, so I don't really see it as an applicable factor in the judgment. Also, there was a clear invalidation of the son's feelings. He sounded like he was being really respectful and brought up valid points as to why he was feeling a certain way. Instead of being open about the whole situation, you started gaslighting. It's a good way to stop your kid from wanting to approach you about things in the future. You're the a-hole. This was the big sticking point for me. Don't you want your son to feel comfortable coming to talk to you when he has a problem in the future? Is son going to feel comfortable talking about his feelings and issues with mum and dad when mum immediately starts attacking him? Also, and this is just the suspicious butthole in me, but mum got real defensive and came out attacking hard when she wasn't even called out. He was just expressing his feelings. Her response was not proportionate, the point where she doth protest too much. Not the a-hole. I feel like people on here hate favoritism so much that they think that you have to treat your kids equally every second of their lives. The fact is, when children are different ages / at different places in life, they'll be going through different milestones at different times. For example, if one of your children had gotten their license that year and you got them a car for Christmas, that doesn't mean that you need to spend a car's worth of money on your other child that Christmas. That would be ridiculous. As long as you treat the kids the same in the long run and help them out similarly for these milestones, it's okay for there to be a little bit of disparity every once in a while. And now, onto the update. A couple of days ago, I posted elsewhere about a conversation my wife and I had with our son. People reacted very strongly, and I wanted to let everyone know what happened next, but that isn't permitted where I originally posted. I still wanted to get it off my chest, so this seemed an appropriate place. We sat down with our son again to talk. Things started out similar to yesterday, but then he asked if we wished he didn't live at home anymore. My wife and I assured him that nothing could be less true, and he said it feels like we are waiting for him to move out. He said his sister moved out at 21, and he's 22 now, so he feels like we are waiting for him to leave. I said we had no control over when his sister left, and asked what we did specifically to make him feel that way. He said it just did. At this point, my wife became frustrated and asked if he considered our feelings. Our son asked what she meant, and she pointed out that he never said thank you for his presents. He said that he liked them, and my wife said that that wasn't the same as thanks, and pointed out that she and I said thank you for ours, but he didn't say thank you for his. At this point, they were both frustrated, so I asked if we could all take a minute. My son thanked us for his presents, which was nice. My wife said that our son was asking if we valued his presence in our lives, but she wanted to know if he valued ours in his, or if he was just using us for free housing. Our son started crying, which felt awful to see. He said that he did value us, but that he felt like he could never catch up to us. I told him, don't try to catch up to us. We had a 2-decade head start, and you'll exhaust yourself if you try to do that. Just go at your own pace. Our son then asked how we would feel if he is never successful like his sister is. I asked him, "Why do you think that your sister is successful and you aren't? She bought a house, but that's not everything in life. She did that for herself because she wanted it, not to reach an arbitrary metric of success. All that matters is if you are happy in life." Our son was quiet for a bit and then admitted that he wasn't happy. My wife asked what would make him happy, and he said that he didn't know. I asked if there was anything specific making him unhappy, and he said his job. He said that he hates working swing shift and feels tired all the time. I then said, "Okay, quit your job or go to part-time and work 2 6-hour shifts a week if you're worried about a gap in your resume." He asked if we would be disappointed if he quit, and my wife said we will never be disappointed in him for trying to find his happiness. I said younger siblings look up to older ones and try to copy them sometimes. That was my brother, and when I was younger too, but you aren't your sister. This isn't a race, and you aren't on a time limit. You don't have to find your dream job or move out by a specific date. Just find what will make you happy. He said he would talk to his supervisor today about switching to part-time or taking a leave of absence. I hope that it goes well, because I don't want him to continue to feel dragged down by work. I don't think this situation is resolved because there are hurt feelings on both sides, but I do think that we made progress. In the comments, "OP, you seem to want to resolve the situation, which is great, but you need to understand that your wife and your son are 2 different people, and you can't pander to your wife's emotional responses if you want to get to the heart of the problem. You and your wife sound exactly like my parents. They do their best to give me what I need to meet my basic care needs, but when it comes to emotions, then it's all about how mum interprets things. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to convey, and that I'm trying to make sense of the world as an adult, rather than simply looking through the lens that my parents gave me. Offense will always be taken if I don't agree with my mother, and Dad will back her every step of the way because he doesn't want to make waves, even if he privately agrees with me. You know who I don't trust or go to when I'm experiencing difficulties in life? Mum and Dad. I know that they have and always will care about me, but they will consider things from their own perspective and will only consider how they're affected as the priority. That is what your wife is doing here. Your son has been shown a glaring disparity between how he and his sister are regarded, and your wife wants him to thank her for it. For an insult. You may not agree with those last couple of lines, but it wasn't your son who chose to make Christmas the difficult time that it was. I honestly don't blame you for giving your daughter a housewarming gift. She'll probably need it very soon, like you said, but the timing was abysmal, and you need to acknowledge that instead of painting your son as ungrateful. The biggest issue at hand here is your wife and you absolutely refused to see it. In both posts, pretty much all she did was try to make it about herself and her feelings and trying to deflect all of his own. From the comments I've seen that you post, all I've seen is you defending your wife after so many people calling her out, or you just being purposely obtuse if you get called out for your dismissive response to the original issue. Your son seems like he is struggling, maybe even depressed, and all your wife did was get frustrated and talk about herself. I guarantee that she doesn't think she did anything wrong either, and you wonder why he won't speak to either of you? Your wife is self-centered and you are her knight in shining armor because she can do no wrong. Unless you're going to open your eyes and actually listen to your child, don't bother with the updates. But it's okay because you say he can quit his job. Absolute Parents of the Year. Congratulations. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.